So today just ended Diddy Trial, day 11. It was a very tough day. They had some professional bands that dealt with Kid Cudi's whole fire. They had an arson investigator there. They had a guy there, a police officer that responded. He seemed like he was super nervous. Couldn't really get his words out. Oh, look at here. They got a shoe shining. I haven't seen this in years. Never noticed it. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be on several shows, so I'm going to come on and... Go ahead, you got it, brother. Go ahead. You got it. But anyway, the police officer testified a little differently than Kid Cudi and also Capricorn Clark. So the judge in the case said that this case is a trial of gossip, and we're starting to see why they say that, because you basically have a lot of witnesses coming up and they all talk about the same event and they tell it in such different ways. I don't know how or who put this case together. I mean, they are dropping a lot of good facts to make their case. But the defense, Diddy has about 9 attorneys, and these guys, one of them alone will probably cost a fortune. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. They have Mia coming up. They said they're going to interview her for 3 days, basically, the next 3 days. And I believe she was his employee, so she knows where, as they say down south, she knows where all the bodies are buried. So I could tell this is going to be stressful for Diddy, because they've already dropped a whole lot of things that they're presenting that just make you wonder about what on earth was he doing or thinking about. But again, the defense is under cross-examination is really pulling these witnesses apart. But I think the most, hold on a second here. So you can see the travel board. This place is really busy this time of day. anyway, Capricorn Clark has been the most detrimental witness in the case so far. She cried the whole day. Cassie never really cried. I mean, she stood on what she said. She only cried when she was reminiscing about her relationship with Diddy. Okay, she'll get on 37. So yes, this is Grand Central Station where you see it all here in New York. I'm just giving you guys some of the background journey. But anyway, so far, when I say that the government is making a good case, they're trying to establish the RICO, which we did a show. I did a show with an attorney the other night. You should go check it out. She breaks down what a RICO trial is. But they started this trial off with the video of Diddy beating Cassie. And the second charge, the first charge is racketeering. The second charge is sex trafficking with fraud, force, and coercion. And so in order to establish the force, they basically laid on that video where she was a part of a freak off. She tried to leave the room, and then you see the video that came out on CNN where she's on the floor being kicked. Well, that's where they show force because he was dragging her back. As far as coercion, today they went through coercion again because they're trying to establish that he did a 10-record deal with her, and she only came out with one album. And after that, she was in a freak off every week, and sometimes she would be in a freak off for up to 4 days and experience 4 different ex-workers. And in some of these cases, they've shown how these individuals have been flown across state lines. So, you know, that's where it gets real tricky for this case. But then again, everybody talks about how she was beaten so bad. But then they brought up her stylist today, which is a very interesting guy. And he made it seem like when Diddy kind of threw her, she hit her eye. They brought out today in court that picture they showed in court of her having a gash in her eyebrow. Basically, he threw her, she hit her eye. But he painted a picture that he was amazed because he had never seen Diddy do that extreme to her before. So that's kind of like a contradiction because everybody was saying basically every other day Cassie was getting beat. But in his story, he painted that, you know, that was that was a terrible time for when he saw her getting beat. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. But at any rate, he also showed that Cassie basically could choose her own clothes. All the things that the prosecution is trying to show that she had no control over her life. In many ways, he showed that she had creativity. But the big problem with this case, that I'll tell you right now, is that in most cases, hold on 1 second. So the big problem in this case is that most of the people are being interviewed before coming to court, and their stories are not adding up to what they're saying, what they told the investigators when they were interviewed. And that's going to be the most damaging part to this case, because every witness so far, they'll say all of these people, places, and things, just like Don Rashad. And then when they pull her on the stand with the cross-examination, they basically say, well, why did you lie here? They actually show that she told a completely different story. Even the guy today, I think his name was Nash. His last name was Nash. And even at the end, a lot of these people try to paint the picture like they're big shots and they have this great glamorous career. And then come to find out that Diddy is the only one that put them on. And in many ways, you kind of get the feeling that Capricorn Clark was she had deep, deep feelings for Diddy. So it just makes you wonder, like, what is this all about? Even with Don Rashad, she comes across like she's trying to save Diddy. all of them wanted to come back and work for Diddy after they were beaten or they saw Cassie beaten. So it gets quite confusing. Although the government is saying that they could reduce the time of this trial. We started off with 8 weeks, but they're saying now we could potentially, this trial could be over in 6. And then 2 days ago, they said it might even be over in 5 weeks. So that tells you the government, they feel strong about making their case about this trial. So we'll just have to see what happens. But basically, the arson that when Kid Cudi's car, today it was brought out, when the car was set on fire, they only have DNA from a female that would have done that. But under cross-examination, they raised a lot of doubts about how the fire happened. So again, every time, like for instance with Kid Cudi, you have the burglary and you have arson, so you think that's a big deal. Under cross-examination, you see that people are tending to lie a lot about this case. So anyway, I have to take my journey now. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be on a couple shows tonight and I'll stream it on the channel. You'll get to hear more in detail when I'm not traveling through New York City. Thank you guys.